Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our first lecture for information management. My name is Kuda. I'll be the one that will be taking you for information management. So for those, if there are any of you guys that are also coming through for statistics, I think you already know me. So I normally take IT classes and math related modules. So that's why you are seeing me also in information management. For those that are seeing me for the first time, thank you for coming through and choosing VUT to assist you with uh, we can say supplementary lectures because I know Mancosa is taking you for the normal lectures. Here we just want to come and explain certain things in a much different way that Mancosa does. So we try to clarify, the things that are within your study guide. So let me put a disclaimer before we go any further. This module is not a numerical module. For those that are used to seeing my face from stats, this is going to be a theoretical module. However, I will try by all means to give real life examples when we hit certain things so that you can relate. It's actually a practical module. Some of the things that we're going to learn are things that we actually do in real life. So I'll try sometimes to explain certain concepts by giving you an example that you may be familiar with actually, or maybe something that has actually happened, but we can try to relate it to whatever thing that we'll be studying. So without wasting much of your precious time, I think let me let me all right, I think let me share the screen right here. All right, so okay. So like I said, I'm Kuda, right? Or you can call me KD for short. All right. So I'm the one who will be taking you for information management. So what I do for this module, I take you subunit by subunit. So we are going to cover everything, subunit by subunit, right? Until we get to the last unit. All right. So basically, when we are talking about information management, what we are doing is, all right, okay, let me say this. The module that you are doing is business management, right? So why are you doing this module when you want to be a business manager? I think that might be most of the people's questions. You see, I just want, a qualification for me to be a business manager at work. Why are they teaching us, these IT things and stuff like that? So, as a manager at work, we are living in a fourth industrial revolution age. So you're not gonna use papers and things, what and things like that. Of course, you're gonna use them, but most of the time we're living in a time of technology. So most of the things they will be based on a system. So as a manager, maybe when you're making decisions, engaging with your staff, right? Uh, Obviously, there has to be a software. All right, let me see. Better question. All right, let me see. Okay. Oh, someone is saying, good day. Am I the only one who doesn't hear sound? Okay, guys, can you hear me? Maybe I'm talking alone. Maybe I've been talking alone for the past how many
Yes,
minutes?
we can
Yes,
hear
you are
you.
the only one. Oh, all right. Someone actually said you're the only one. All right, no, that's fine. I think they need to now I can hear. Okay, perfect. That's good. Welcome, Katlego. I hope I pronounced that well. Uh, I'm Kuda, so I'm the one that will be taking you for this module. Unfortunately, you have to go and listen to some of the things that I was saying before you came through. But I had not yet started explaining a lot, but I'll just giving an introductory, introduction about myself and about the module. So I was saying the reason why we are doing this module as managers, right? Is because you deal with certain systems that you will use, right, as a manager when you are managing whatever you are managing, right? So you should have an idea, not in-depth knowledge, but an idea of what a system is and things like that. So that when you are introduced to one system that you're gonna use at work, you will not be point blank, right? So information management, what you are doing is you are managing information. Right? But the information that you are managing is not like gossiping, you know. When people avoid gossiping, they're saying we're doing information management. That's not the type of information management that we're talking about, right? The type of information that you are managing is the type of information that your organization deal with, right? Because you know information, you need to collect it, you need to process it, you need to store it, you need to do a lot of stuff. So there are some processes that are involved. So all those processes need to have a more like an overseeing of that. So that's where information management is. So basically this module is mainly about what we call information system, because information systems is the one that you're going to use to collect the information, to process, to store, wara wara. So in other words, this module, we can call it information systems also. So information management and information systems is the same module, right? So let's start by defining what information system is, because like I said, this module is mainly going to talk about information systems, right? So an information system is a set of interrelated components which can collect, process, store, and provide a distribution of information to allow for decision making, coordination, or even providing control in a company. So basically, wherever you want to use that information as a manager, this is where this whole thing come through. Information systems. Okay, what's happening? All right. So information systems, they are made up of from data and information. So there's actually difference between data and information. So information is data. It might look like it's rhetoric, but information is data which has been converted and transformed into meaningful fact. So data cannot make sense. There is a type of data that if you give to a person who asks you, what is this? Right? I'm like, "Mara, why are you giving me this? It's data, but it's not making sense. So it's just raw facts, right? But if that raw facts or data is converted, is transformed into something that makes sense, then it becomes information, right? So that's where the difference is. So information is data which makes sense basically, but data now is raw facts which is made up of events which occurred in the company. So information systems have got basically three or maybe four processes, but the fourth one is it's like I'll tell you. So basically it's four processes. So there's what we call input, there's process, there's output, and then there's what we call a feedback loop. So the input, basically you are collecting raw data, right, within the organization or maybe outside the organization. Then the second step, you process that data into meaningful facts. Then after you then display the data or you output, right, by transferring whatever you have processed into activities. Then the last thing is that output can be used to provide feedback, right, to the input, right? So that maybe you can improve on certain things and stuff like that. So companies, they can use the feedback to make correction to the input phase. In order for you to understand information systems better, you need to understand the problems that you are designed to solve. So let's look at the first subunit. So here I was just defining what information systems is. So why are information systems so essential for running and managing a business today? Why do we need information systems? Why do we have software? Hey, you've got this software. Hey, for you to be a manager, you must know this software. For here, this work, you must understand this software. Why do we need those software in the first place? That's what we're talking about, right? All right. So information systems, they are transforming business, right? So businesses today, they rely heavily on connectivity to the internet or wireless networks, right? We can talk about people do business on smartphones, cell phone, tablets, right? And computers, right? So a smartphone is actually a computer, if you didn't know. A cell phone is a computer, a tablet is a computer, a smartwatch is a computer, right? They all have become essential tools for business operations, right? So now you can see that most of the people that are having businesses today, they have what we call an online presence. This is where now we are talking about the advantage of having information system now. So like you guys, I know you love shopping. I don't know where you shop. Sometimes you may feel a bit lazy to go maybe to your nearest mall or maybe to that store where you go and buy your designer clothes and stuff like that. Be like, today let me just go online. Let me try to buy that stuff online, maybe from that store, or maybe you go on Take a Lot, or you go on Amazon, wherever you go, Shein, Timu, right? Wherever you go buy stuff, right? So that is online presence. That is e-commerce, right? So registering.com internet sites allow businesses to reach customers online. So the internet now is allowing businesses to reach people that they could never reach in real life, right? So e-commerce has grown significantly, enabling businesses to advertise and reach new web-based customers. That's why you see when you go on the YouTube, if you haven't subscribed for premium, you'll be seeing a lot of adverts, right? When you go on Facebook, a lot of adverts, X, threads, or what do you call Instagram, wherever you go, right? A lot of adverts. Why? Because businesses, they're advertising on the internet. So the information systems also, they'll help with efficiency and cost reduction. So information systems help business operate more efficiently by eliminating overhead costs, right? So now when you have information systems, you are now able to operate more efficient by eliminating overhead costs. So real-time inventory management is made uh, possible by information systems, right? That will streamline the operation. So now, where people were gonna go into a warehouse and gonna count things manually, information system like just put sensors there. The sensors will tell us when when the stock gets low, right? So they are efficient and they reduce cost. Now that we understand about information systems, now let's define what information management is. Because you can't talk of information management without information systems. So we have defined information systems. We have tried to explain why they're important for the business. Now let's get to understand what information management is. So information management is the process of collecting, storing, managing, and maintaining information in all its form. You are just managing information like what I was telling you. You are just managing information at whatever stage it is, right? So information management covers the procedures, the guidelines organizations adopt to manage and communicate information among different individuals, departments, and stakeholders, right? So information management focuses on the level of control an organization has over the information it produces. So it requires building dedicated information management systems that are designed to help the company use its resources to support business processes. So So information management, we said it requires building dedicated information management system. So you cannot have information management without information system. That's why I said this modules, we can call it also information systems. So now let's delve a bit deeper why we have to understand information management, right? Why we are doing also this module. So they are what we call changing consumer habits, right? Most of the things now they are shifting online. You know, when we're growing up, I don't know how old you are. I'm in my 30s, right? Early 30s, right? When we were growing up, this thing of smartphones, you know, that is the time where we heard, you know, the Nokias, those Nokias that were like bricks, and the big ones that had buttons, you know. You would throw them from the 10th floor, and when it gets down, the phone is still fine. Right? So there was no internet, or the internet was there, but it wasn't as common as now, right? So most of the time, the people would buy physical newspapers. I'm not so sure if today people still buy like physical newspapers, but back then that would be one of the most reliable thing to get or to get information, right? But now we are seeing people now are shifting from physical newspapers to accessing news online, right? So this is a change in consumer habit where people would buy a physical thing, now they're going online. Back then we used to go and buy books and you know read them physically, go to a library, wara wara. Nowadays you just go on what do you call Audible, Amazon Audible. So you can listen to the book or you can just go wherever you can buy the book, maybe Bookreads or Goodreads or something like that. You just go and buy your book and read online, or yeah, or maybe on Kindle Fire, something like that, right? So nowadays also we have what we call online banking. Back then, during when we were growing up, people would physically go to a bank. They would make a long queue, right? Maybe just to inquire, not to withdraw, but maybe just to inquire something or something like that, right? Or maybe yeah, some people could actually queue on ATM just to get just to check their balance. Nowadays, you just go on your app, right? You just check, you just do whatever you want to do to bank online. Nowadays, we have what we call social media for business. That's why you see nowadays there's actually a job that was invented recently about what we call influencers. Most of the people that are actually highly paid nowadays are influencers. Right? The person just is promoting a business online, just doing their skits or something like that, right? Funny stuff, right? So most of the stuff of the time is most of the time social networking platforms like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn are used for business marketing. So customers share experiences, they create opportunities for businesses to engage with their audience. So let's look about the impact of information systems on business and careers, right? So businesses in all industries, they are affected by information systems. There is no business that we say does not need a software, right? Whether you are using Excel sheet, that is a software, right? So nowadays, if you are to work properly in a business, you need an information system. So these information systems, they differ depending on what they were designed to do. So business information systems, BIS, they provide opportunities for growth and for efficiency. So what is new in management information systems? So what is new, right? What is it that is new that, maybe we need to talk about in this module? So before we go deep, let's talk about the impact of new technology changes. So basically, each and every time, right, we there's a new technology that is introduced. 3 years ago, it's what? We're in 2026. 3 years ago, we never heard anything about AI. AI was there, but it wasn't as a buzz as it is today. 2024, when ChatGPT produced their first model and made it public to people, I think it was 2024. If I'm wrong, just correct me. Oh, like let me highlight something. If you have a question in this module, just unmute at any point. Because in this module, I'll not ask you if you understand, because I know what I'm saying. You are understanding it. So unless maybe you want further clarification on something. So in this module, at any time, just feel free either to unmute yourself, right? You don't need to for me to wait until I finish a unit. If you have something burning, just unmute right there, talk, right? Or maybe just write in the chat so that we can be on the same page. So I was just saying maybe if maybe my timing was wrong, but I want to believe ChatGPT was introduced in 2024, maybe, if I'm not mistaken. From then up until now, AI is like the time when the internet came for the first time. So some people actually they are saying the AI is like going back to the dot-com era. Dot-com era is when the 1980s, when the internet was a buzz. The internet came to Africa late, right? In America, in those first world countries, the internet was a buzz around 1980s and 1990s, right? When people were having computers called a Macintosh, right? And nowadays, you no longer have those type of computers. But like Macintosh, I think it was one of the first computers developed by Apple, right? So, so now constantly the technology is changing, and as the technology is changing, right, it's also bringing in something good that managers can leverage. So maybe it can be a new hardware, it can be a new software like AI. It creates a new computing or media platform, so managers can leverage that to make their life easier. Nowadays, we're talking about what we call AI agents, right? That can do automation work for you. Where as a manager, where you were doing things manually. If you have never heard of what, that's the reason why also we are doing this module, right? So we tell you certain things that will help you as a manager. If you have never heard of what I'm talking about, and you want, I know you want to be a manager because that's why you're doing this module. Just go find time, just go and Google about AI agents. Maybe it might help you with the problem that is giving you a hard time at work. Of automation, you're repeating things over and over again. At the end of the day, at work, they just pay you to do a certain work done, right? If there's a faster way of doing it, you'll be lucky. So sometimes just go and check what is called AI agents, right? It's a buzzword nowadays. It might help you with certain things that you do routinely, right? So it can automate. So that type of technology can also be very helpful, right? As manager. So it's a manager that is leveraging technology that is changing. Then also in business, there has to be collaboration, right? So information systems can be used to enhance collaboration with technology. So technology now enables employees to collaborate effectively. Zoom, Zoom was there in the time of Skype. I don't know if most of you know what Skype is, right? There was Skype, there was Zoom. Before WhatsApp was a thing, there was Viber. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, Viber, where you could actually do calls and online calls and video calling. But it was a social media app for some reason. I no longer see it today. I think the people didn't market it so well. Zoom was already there the time that Skype was there. But what made Zoom what it is today is COVID-19. When there was lockdown, uh, companies, instead of closing, they said, now we are going to work remotely. We need to collaborate formally. Then they will say, we have meeting using Zoom. That's where Zoom now, you see almost everyone. Now we are using Zoom. But it was there. The technology was there. It was waiting for an opportunity, right? So these are the technologies that companies use to collaborate effectively. So even if people, I don't know where you are, but we are actually talking right now. I'm in Gauteng, right, province, in Ekurhuleni. That's where I am right now, right? So I don't know where you are. Maybe some of you might be here in Joburg, some of you might be in Durban. I don't know where you are right now, right? But we are collaborating despite geographical separation, right? It's all because of technology. Then there's what we call cloud computing, which is strengthening remote work capability. So, cloud computing, when you're talking about cloud, storing your information in cloud, a very good example is when you're using Google Drive, when you're using OneDrive, right? Dropbox, you are storing information on an online cloud computing too. So cloud computing now is actually one of the most also technologies that are gaining ground. So cloud computing offers what we call a digital platform for businesses. So businesses nowadays, they can have their applications. So let me explain what cloud computing is in this way. I don't know where you're working at your company, but normally before this cloud computing thing, companies used to have what we call a data center. When we say a data center, maybe at your workplace, where there is that IT department. I don't know if some of you have access to go to the IT department, but if you have never been there, if your company has a data center, right, in the IT department, just tell them that I'm doing a module in IT. I just want to have an idea of how a data center looks like. When you get inside, it's like you're getting into more like a warehouse with these weird fridges looking computers. They're called servers, right? So this is where most of your emails are stored, your website is stored, the data is stored, wara wara, things like that, right? Okay, someone is asking, would you say Copilot an example of AI agent? All right, so Copilot is not an example of AI agent. I haven't I exploited Copilot a lot because normally me, I deal with ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, or Cloud. But Copilot, we can just call it, yeah, we can call it an AI agent. Yeah, you are correct to a certain way. But it just does more like it doesn't do a lot of things at once. So normally, when we're talking about AI agent, we are talking about a series of activities that are combined into one thing that an AI can do. Let me give you an example. So let's say maybe you have a list of clients that you have maybe on your Excel sheet, right? And maybe you are supposed to be sending them specific messages, right? So obviously, what you're going to do is you're going to go through each and every client. So you take their name, maybe you go and take their email first. You go to Gmail, then you put their name, then you put their surname, then you put a message there, and then you send. Then you come back again to Google Sheet. You look at the next person, you go back to Gmail. So you see, you are repeating things. The only thing that is changing is you are only changing the name, the email, and the contents. So what you can do, what an AI agent does is a very good example of where you can get AI agents. ChatGPT now does it, but I don't know how deep ChatGPT does it, right? But not your normal chat. I know when you go on ChatGPT, you go where you do your chats to ask things and stuff like that. That's not the AI agent, what I'm talking about. So if you want a very good example of maybe AI agents, you can talk of there's something called N8N, something like this. Right? You can go and check something like this, right? What you do is you create more like some AI agents. So you tell this AI that I want you to connect all these processes together. go to Google Sheet, retrieve the email of each client, right? Then when you retrieve the email, open Gmail, and when you go to Gmail, go and paste the email that you took for that specific client, and then take their name and address them by their name and write this mail. So where you are supposed to do it manually, an AI is doing it for you. So basically, it's like a lot of applications that are being bundled together, right? But AI is coordinating in between all these applications or processes. So this is where we get AI agents. So I don't think Copilot does that unless maybe they introduce a new system that Copilot, you can just ask questions like what you do chat, what you do Google. When you go on Google, you say, what is, maybe you can say, what is, let's say, information management, right? You press enter. Then it gives you information about AI, about information management, right? If you go on chat, if you ask what is information management, it will just give you an answer. But that behavior is not like an AI agent. An AI agent is more like an assistant. They will help you with doing something that you are supposed to do, like a routine, right? So, but I think a copilot is just an example of just a chatbot, something like that, a chatbot, right?
So,
But
so
that was a
Kuda,
very good question. That is actually a very, very, yes,
hello
yes,
Kuda.
sir.
Yeah, so if I understand you properly, does this
Yes, I
AI
can hear you. Can you hear
agent,
me?
yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Kuda?
Yes, yes. Now I can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if I understand you correctly, these AI do okay, these AI agents, are they using softwares or applications that are already on your desktop or laptop to execute a task, or they pull on things from the World Wide Web to execute maybe the task or the command that you'll be inserting on the AI agent?
That's actually a very good question. So they do both. They do
They
both.
do both.
So there are
Okay.
AA agents that can actually pull things locally without going on the internet. Like maybe you can say connect to Excel that is on your laptop, and then maybe go and do and maybe open another local application so they can do locally without being exposed to the internet. Then there are other AI agents where, like for example, where I was telling you that ChatGPT introduced this. I don't know if they really like did it to the extent that they explained it. So what you could do is you can actually ask your ChatGPT to open an application for editing, let's say what is called Figma or Canvas. I think some of you have heard Canvas, right? You can actually open Canvas, right, inside ChatGPT and then design using Canvas inside ChatGPT. So that's that connection now, that ability that an agent can go into another website and then log in and then pulls, let's say, the interface back into ChatGPT and do whatever you want to do, and then it is saved in that account. You see, that's where the issue of AI agents. So it's something that is done doing something on your behalf. So to answer you, it can be both. So it can be local on your computer, and it can also be on the World Wide Web. That's actually another good question that you asked me. So the reason why I'm taking time, like I said, we are here also to give you ideas because you guys, you work, right? So that's why I'm giving you this thing because, it might end up helping you with the work that you are doing at work. So if you want to understand more, just go and Google. This module does not talk about it, but I just, say, let me drop it because it might help one or two guys that are here. So we're talking about cloud computing. So where cloud computing comes in is
Sorry, Kudat.
instead of having a physical data center. So remember we said uh,
Hi, Kuda.
is that a
Sorry.
question? I don't think
Yes.
so. No?
Uh,
Okay,
can you hear me?
hi, ma'am.
Yes, you were saying that you
Yes,
we should
I
go
can hear
and
you.
Google. You didn't drop the name. You said we should go and Google which app.
Oh no, just go and Google about let me just write it about AI agents in general.
Oh, in general, I thought there was a
If
specific
you just
app
say
that we
AI
should go.
agents, you see in general. Yeah, no. There are a lot. I don't want to. I gave you an example. If you go on the chat, I gave you an example of something called N88N. That's an example. But there are a lot. I didn't want to exhaust. So because N8N might not be suitable for what you want. You might find another one. So just go in general. Maybe you can go on YouTube, you can go on Google or whatever that you use to search. Then you need to just say AI agents. You get information about how to use them and how to develop them and things like that. All right. All right. No, that's fine. So what I was saying is when we are dealing with data centers, right? We are saying these are very huge computers where your data is stored, where your email servers, or what is called an email server, is a web server. Is if you have come along these terms, email server, web server, wara wara, things like that, right? So this is where your work emails are stored. This is where, let's say, your website is stored. But now the danger with a physical data center is, remember, there was a time when we were having a problem with load shedding. I'm not so sure if we are still having load shedding, but I think nowadays it's better. I don't even remember the last time when we had load shedding this side where I am at. But there was a time when we had serious load shedding. Just imagine at work you have load shedding and your company does not have backup, you know, let's say generators. Because remember, before then, it was very rare for internet to go, I mean, for electricity to be cut. People were used to, we have electricity, so companies will relax. There's no need for us to have generators. It's a waste of money, wara wara. Then all of a sudden, we have unscheduled, what do you call it? Load shedding. There's no backup generator. There is no, let's say, backup batteries, whatever. It means that you can't have access to the information from the data center, right? And also, let's say in a scenario where, let's say, there's a disaster, a company, let's say there's a wildfire, the data center does catch fire, right? It means all the information there, if they didn't have backup somewhere, it is lost. And also, let's say during the time of COVID-19, when people were working from home, you needed to connect to the data center through a certain method, maybe by using VPNs, right? But some people might not be very, good at using such technology. So it would be very hard now. So what companies now are doing, they are migrating from using physical data centers and using what we call virtual data centers. So a virtual data center is what we call cloud computing. So what they do, there are companies that offer virtual data centers. Example is AWS, right? Amazon Web Services. There's Azure, Microsoft, the one that produces Microsoft, the software. They also have virtual data centers. Google also has got virtual data centers. So they'll approach a company and say, instead of you just having only a physical data center, have also information that is backed up in a cloud computing. So even if a person travels all over the world, you just give them the URL, the link. They'll just click on the link. They'll access everything online. And these companies, they guarantee that we will try by all means to make sure that, even if when there's load shedding, we are not affected. So there are ways to make sure that your data is always available and also scalable, something like that. So that's where cloud computing comes in. So cloud computing offers a digital platform for businesses. It enables what we call outsourcing of work and adds value to computers, right? So it facilitates interactions with customers and suppliers for product development and upgrades. right? So now we need platform. Many times people will like, hey, like right now, I'm giving you an example that use AI agents, right? Some people will like, hey, no, I'm not gonna use
Yeah,
AI. It's gonna take my job.
good.
Wara, 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 wara. It's like a
Good.
person who was like, yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I can hear
Just
you.
on your previous slides on clouds, ne?
Can
So
you hear
if
me?
a company like
On
get the
cloud.
services of let's say AWS, like you indicated, isn't there a risk of maybe the data that's on their
Yeah.
services being compromised or being used, or is there like contracts that are signed, or what's the story there?
Oh, that's actually a very good question. I know there's a part within your study guide that's due specifically with cloud computing, but I haven't checked how deep does it go. But that's actually a very good question right there. So what happens when a company is approaching, let's say, AWS, a service provider for cloud computing, right? When they are agreeing on the terms, I don't know, maybe they call it service level agreement, SLA, right? If that's the correct way, it might not be the correct term for the agreements. So what AWS says is we are responsible for the securing of their infrastructure. Remember, it's a so when we say cloud computing, let me tell you what actually happens on a cloud computing. So cloud computing, Amazon will be having, let's say, data centers around the world. Like here in Joburg, in South Africa, I think they have a data center in Cape Town. And the last time I checked, AWS was saying they wanted to have another one in Joburg. I'm not so sure if they opened it, right? So what it does is that data center, right? So they build a big warehouse, then they have their infrastructure, their computers that they put inside. Then they rent, right? They say, okay, we are renting these computers depending with what type of computing power. That's why it's called cloud computing. So depending with your computing power that you want, just tell us, and then we can allocate that computing power on the systems that we have. So the agreement now is AWS will say we are responsible for securing the infrastructure, right? So he says you don't have to worry about electricity, about load shedding. We'll take care of that. Your data will always be available. Then they'll say we are also responsible for making sure that our infrastructure is not compromised. So they'll make sure that a hacker does not hack their computers, right? Their computers, right? So they are the ones that are responsible for securing the for securing the infrastructure. Then on the agreement, they will say if you put an application on our computer, you as a person who's using our service, right? You have to secure your application. So that is where the difference is. So the company now, if they have an application, let's say a management information system that is or sitting on a computer in AWS, the security of the application is the company's responsibility. But the security of the computer on which the application is sitting is AWS responsibility. So the responsibility is split depending with how you see it. I don't know if there will ever be a question like that, but I don't think in this module it will come. But that was a very good question. I'm not so sure if you understand what I'm saying and if you got the answer you were looking for. All right, perfect. All right. So I think let me continue. So here we're talking about embracing the digital platform there. So businesses heavily rely on the digital platform for various activities. So mobile devices and the internet have transformed the way business is conducted. That's why, people are embracing, the internet, devices, whatever, things like that. So digitalization opens new avenues for growth and efficiency. So now let's look at what we call the dimensions of information management. So there are three things that are the pillars of information management. Information management cannot be information systems actually. Yeah, so it's the dimensions of information systems or information management. It's the same thing. So there are three things, or three pillars, right, on which information systems hinge on. So information systems requires an organization. You cannot have a software without a people, an organization that's going to use it, right? Then the information systems will require people. You can't have an information without someone using it, right? Then an information system will require technology. Remember, it's a software. A software will require what we call a computer to be installed in. It will require telecommunication system so that you can connect to the internet. It will require a lot of things, right? Maybe hard drives so that you can store the data and things like that. So that is the three pillars on which information systems sits on. So let's look at the first pillar, which is organization. So the key elements of an organization are: one, its people, the structure, the business processes, the politics, and the culture. So an organization coordinates work through a structured hierarchy and formal standard operating procedure. So an organization, remember, it will have what they call an organizational culture. They have what they call an organizational structure. They'll have what they call organizational processes. So this is now, this also frames how certain information systems are used. So managerial, professional, technical employees form the upper levels of organization's hierarchy, while lower levels consist of operational personnel. So each organization has a unique culture, right? Or a fundamental set of assumptions, values, and ways of doing things that are accepted by most of its members. That's why you see if a person changes work, they'll say, in my previous work, we used to work like this, but here it's a bit different. It's because of the culture, right? So parts of an organization's culture can be found in its information system. So the culture also can influence how the information system can be used. Now let's look at the pillar people. So an information system will be useless if there are no skilled personnel to build and to maintain the information system, which will be used to achieve business objective. That's why you have one, the people that are going to use the system, and two, you have people that maintain. That's why in big companies, they have an IT department. So that when you have problems, you go to the IT department. When you have problems, you go to the IT department. So there are people that are using the system and there are people that are maintaining the system, right? So if people in the business are not trained to use the information system, the business objectives will not be easily to be met. When you go deeper with IT, I don't think at this level they talk about it, but if you go deep with IT, they'll tell you that IT is used to achieve business objective. That's why we said it's very important for a manager to know IT, not deep IT, but something related to IT, hence this module, all right? So information systems, they are used. So remember, each and every company has their business objective. You've got your vision, then you have your mission, then you have your objectives. So information systems will help you achieve the objectives, right? So every business requires many skilled staff, each of which will be involved in handling situations in the business, making decisions, and even create action plans to help solve organizational problems, right? So technology is relatively inexpensive. It is the people of the business who are expensive. Have you seen, these job openings where they say we are looking for this manager? We'll be paying them 1 million rent per annum. And we're like, what? What? Is that the salary the person. The experience is expensive, right? So the more you are experienced, the more expensive you are. So that's what they're saying. Technology is relatively inexpensive. You don't see a computer, um, uh, uh, a computer that might cost like 100,000 rand. Nah, I think if a company is to buy such a computer, they're just trying to show off, of which I don't know who they are showing off to. You see, because you just want a computer that does work. So the actually companies, when they're buying, they are sourcing out infrastructure, computer infrastructure, they try to be as frugal can be, meaning they try, to not to spend a lot of money. But when they are recruiting now, they are willing to pay more if the person has got more experience. So that's what that statement is. It is the people of the business who are expensive because people are the ones involved in business problem solving and transforming the technology into powerful business solution. Then let's look at the third pillar, which is technology. So information technology has many tools which managers can use to cope with changes, right? FM's information technology, IT, is a technology platform or foundation on which a firm can build its information system. So information systems, they are built on a technology infrastructure. What are the example of the technology? You need computer hardware. Hardware is the physical equipment or computing devices used for input. When you're talking about input, we are going to talk about it in another lecture. Input, you talk about your what? Your mouse. We're talking about your keyboard. Storage, you talk about hard drive. Processing, that's your CPU, GPU. Output, that's your monitor, right? That's your speaker. Telecommunications, that's your router, right? So basically, when you're talking about hardware, the reason why it's called hardware, it's something that you can touch. You touch with your hands, right? Then you've got computer software. So even if information system is a software, it might rely also on another software, right? So computer software, these are detailed pre-programmed instructions that control and coordinate the computer hardware components. Then there's data management software. So this is the software that governs the organization of data in a physical storage medium. Then you've got networking and telecommunications technology. So this is your internet, basically. So this is the hardware and software used to link various pieces of hardware and transfer data from one physical location to another. Then you have a computer network. So a computer network, basically, it links two or more computers together to share data. A very good example of a computer network is when you create what is called a personal area network. When you create a Bluetooth, you'll be like, I want to share information from. I don't know if people still do that nowadays. I think depending with the device that you are using. But let me just use a very common method that people know. So someone will be like, I want to share this file from my computer to my phone, and you don't have a cable. You'll be like, let me send it through Bluetooth. What you have done there is you have created a network, right? You being able to identify that I've now linked to my whether headset or maybe phone or whatever using Bluetooth. You have linked two computers there because a phone is a computer, right? Your laptop is a computer. So you are able to share data, either it can be files, images, sounds, video, or whatever. That's a computer network there. So that was an easiest way of explaining a computer network to you. Now, the internet is the world's largest, most widely used network. Right? So most people wonder, what is internet? Internet is just a bunch of computers let me see the next slide. That's good. So I think let's end there. So let me end by explaining to you what the internet is, and then we'll stop here for today. So the internet, basically, most people will be like, what is the internet? You see? Basically, in a nutshell, I know it's a bit complicated than this, but in a nutshell, the internet is just type of computer networks that are linked together. Let me give you a very good example of what happened. Most of you can relate to this. Was it around 2021? If most people remember. I remember that day very, very clearly because I think I was supposed to, I've been with VUT for a while now. So I think that day, I don't know whether I was having lectures or what. So there was a time, it was around this time, trying to go on Google. I can't access Google. Gmail, I can't go on Gmail. YouTube, I can't go on YouTube. I'm like, what's happening? Google Drive, you can't go on Google Drive. But if you go on Twitter, by then it was called Twitter, you would be on Twitter. If you go on Facebook, you'll be on Facebook. But you can't go on Google. You can anything related to Google, you couldn't go. I think it was for an hour or two, then everything came back to normal, right? And then they apologized, very sorry. I think recently also there was an outage from another company called, was it Cloudflare? I think so. And another company also, yeah, X recently, I think last week. Last week, people they couldn't access X Twitter for I think for a period of time. You see. So basically, let me show you what happens now. That explains to you that internet now it's a bunch of computers that are communicating together. So when you go or when you say www.google.com, what you are doing basically, you are calling the computer where the server of Google sits. So there is a computer somewhere at Google that has that acts as a server for google.com, right? If that computer for any reason goes down, for whatever reason goes down, that's where when you try to write www.google.com, that's where you will not be able to reach it. All right. So when you say www.google.com, it's a nickname for that computer. The real name of the computer is what we call an IP address. Right? So right now I'm on the internet. Right? So my computer is showing a certain IP address. That's why certain hackers can be able to hack me, right? It's because they might be able to identify that, okay, so this is the IP address that this person is using on their computer. Then they use that IP address to get access because that's the name of my computer. So when you say www.google.com, that's not the real name of that computer. The real name is I think maybe I'll show you on another when we get to talk about the internet in detail. I'm going to show you that if you go on the internet and put the IP address for google.com, you will still be able to access google.com. But remember, an IP address is a bunch of numbers. You can't remember. It's very hard to remember. Some people can't even remember the, phone numbers for other people. Just imagine you have to know the IP address for Facebook. You have to know the IP address for Google. It's very, very, hard to remember. So they'll give nicknames to those computers. So instead of calling google.com by its full name, which are a bunch of numbers, they will say now your nickname is google.com. Instead of calling Facebook by its real name, which is a bunch of numbers, they will just give it a nickname, facebook.com. So because it's easy to remember. So that's how you communicate on the internet. So on the internet, you are just communicating with another computer somewhere. But that computer somewhere has a nickname that you are using, what you call the link. What is the website link? What is the website link? That's a nickname of that computer. So if that computer happens that it's down, let's say someone switches off the computer by mistake, you won't have access to the data. So I want to believe there's something that happened to Google. And there where they have their data center, right? Where they have everything about Google, right? For that day in 2021, I don't know. I didn't go deep to research what happened, but I think there was something that happened in Google that made all the computers that where YouTube is, where google.com is, where Google Drive is, where Gmail is, all of them were down. Everything related to Google was down. That's why we were not able to access. because we are communicating to a computer. So basically, that's what internet is. So internet, you are just communicating with other computers. I think some people that have IT background, they know what I'm talking about. So that's why now they're saying the internet is the world's largest and most widely used network, because it's a network of computers all over the world that are communicating together, right? Then the internet is a global network that uses universal technology standards to connect many private and public networks. So I think for tonight, I think let's end here. I don't know if there are any questions. If you have any question, please just try to unmute and then we'll try to explain. But if there are no questions, I think then we can close the session. I tried to explain some of these things as clear can be. I'm not so sure if people are okay. No, I'm seeing some feedback. All right, so that's fine. So I think for tonight, guys, I think let's end here. So information management. Remember, it's Tuesday, every Tuesday, 7 o'clock in the evening, unless maybe there's an emergency, and then we tell you that we are shifting the date. But normally, information management every Tuesday, 7 p.m. For those that are doing statistical techniques, it will be Monday, 7 p.m. So have a lovely evening, guys. That's all that I had for you tonight. We'll continue next week. Okay. Someone saying, can you say?
Yeah,
Yes,
can you please
I am.
remind James about the stair to share, please?
Oh, sorry,
the
I
recording.
didn't hear that part.
I'm saying, can you please remind James to share the recording?
James hasn't said.
No, he hasn't sent. We're trying to catch. I'm trying
What
to
I
catch
think-
up to. It's difficult.
All right, let me try to call him and remind him. I'm not so sure what's happening. I think maybe he might have a lot on his table. Well, thank you so much for the reminder. I think I will have to call him after this lecture. I forgot to call him yesterday. Well, let me try to. Someone is asking for today's lecture. Let me just upload. Okay, saying it's in use. Okay, let me close it. So that it is some people that should need. So what's happening? Okay, what's happening here? So for those that would want to go and read ahead, someone saying I think we should ODM. It's fine. Let me try to call him. Let me try to remind him to send him, because if he hasn't sent for yesterday and last week, yeah, then there's gonna be a delay. All right. So I'm trying to upload right now for those. I know some of the people have managed to go out. So please, for those that are going to remain and get the document, please just go and upload also in the group where everyone else is, so that they can have access. All right. I think it's gonna be for those that have patience. Just wait a little bit. I think it's a bit slow loading up the document, but it's being uploaded behind the scenes. So basically, this module is a very interesting module because it relates to a lot of things that are actually happening right now. So where examples are applicable, we'll try to show you that something that happened here. This is the concept right now. It helps people to really appreciate, the thing that they are studying. Because sometimes, people when they are studying a module, they'll be like, but what is this? Right? They might not even appreciate the value that the module brings. Right? They'll be like, I'm just doing it for the sake of me getting the my degree. But actually, some of the concepts might actually help them in other areas, of their work, for the reason that they might bring out certain things that might be helpful. All right, so I think it's almost done. It's loading a bit slow. I think it's a bit slow. So just if you just want to leave, I think you can leave. I think maybe one or two guys that will manage to get the document will be able to send it on the group. So IT is actually a very good, a very good field, So, just understanding basics is actually good so that, because nowadays everything now is relying on IT. So I think it would be good, for people to have an idea, right, of, what this is, what it does, so that at least people can appreciate certain things. Because where the edge is going now, most of the things are hinging on computers. All right, perfect. So if you check on the chat, right, we have it just managed to upload. So please, I'm just giving you a minute so that you'll be able to download and then we will close the session. I think people have managed to download. All right, guys, thank you so much. Let's meet same time next week. Good night. All right, perfect.